The transport ship's metal hull groaned under the stress of atmospheric entry as Marcus Chien sat motionless in his restraints. Around him, the other prisoners shifted nervously in their seats, their various alien anatomies creating a strange symphony of clicks, hisses, and mechanical whirs. The Vrex guards watched them all with four cold, compound eyes, their chitinous armor gleaming under the harsh overhead lights. Marcus kept his breathing steady, his dark eyes focused straight ahead. 23 years of military service had taught him the value of patience, of reading a room, of understanding when to act and when to wait. Right now, waiting was the smart play. The other prisoners didn't need to know what he was, what he'd done, or what he was capable of. To them, he was just another human criminal being transported to the gladiatorial pits of Korthax Prime, the Zilani sitting next to him. Her blue-scaled skin shimmering with nervous perspiration, had been trying to make conversation for the past hour. Her name was Vera, and she'd been caught smuggling medical supplies to a quarantined colony. A noble cause, but one that had earned her a death sentence in the arena. "The stories they tell about humans," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the ship's engines. "They say your people are warriors, that you come from a death world where everything tries to kill you." Marcus glanced at her briefly, noting the hope in her large, silver eyes. She wanted reassurance, wanted to believe that having a human among them might improve their chances. He didn't have the heart to tell her that the stories, while true, wouldn't matter much in the arena. The Korthax Empire didn't design their gladiatorial combats to be fair. Stories have a way of growing in the telling, he said quietly. A harsh bark from the lead guard cut through their conversation. The massive Vrex warrior stood nearly 3 meters tall, his exoskeleton scarred from countless battles. His translation device crackled to life as he addressed the prisoners. "Listen well, meat. You are now the property of Arena Master Thixon. You will fight, you will bleed, and most of you will die for the entertainment of your betters. Those who survive 3 matches earn their freedom. Those who impress the crowds may live longer. Those who disappoint will be fed to the sandcrawlers." The guard's 4 eyes swept across the prisoners, lingering on Marcus with something that might have been amusement. "The human intrigues Arena Master Thixon? Your species has developed quite a reputation since joining the galactic community. Warriors, they say. Apex predators from a death world. We shall see how much truth lies in these tales." Marcus said nothing, but he noticed the way the other prisoners looked at him now. Hope, fear, curiosity, desperation. They were looking for a savior, someone to rally behind. It was a burden he'd carried before, in the jungles of Kepler 438b during the colonial wars, leading a squad of green recruits through hell itself. The ship shuddered as landing gear deployed. Through the small porthole, Marcus could see the sprawling cityscape of Korthax Prime, massive towers of black metal and crimson. Glass stretched toward the pale sky, their surfaces covered in holographic advertisements for the arena games. The planet's twin suns cast everything in an orange hue that reminded him uncomfortably of dried blood. "Preparation begins immediately upon landing," the guard continued. "You will be processed, equipped, and trained. The human will receive special attention given the expectations surrounding your species." As the ship touched down with a final bone-jarring impact, Marcus closed his eyes and let his mind drift back to his training. Not the military training, though that was important too. The other training, the kind that didn't appear on any official record. He'd been recruited by the Shadow Division 3 years into his service, selected for psychological evaluation by Dr. Sarah Kim. The division didn't exist on paper. Funded through black budgets and operated with the kind of plausible deniability that let politicians sleep at night. Their mission was simple: prepare humanity for the things that lived in the dark corners of the galaxy. "The human mind is remarkably adaptable," Dr. Kim had told him during his first briefing. "But more than that, it's creative in ways that other species find disturbing. While they evolved as prey or as simple predators, we evolved as persistence hunters. We developed tools, tactics, and most importantly, the ability to think like our enemies. The Shadow Division had taught him things that would have been considered war crimes by civilized standards. Psychological warfare, enhanced interrogation techniques, Methods of killing that required no weapons beyond what the human body could provide. They'd pushed his mind to its limits, teaching him to compartmentalize, to function under extreme stress, to turn his own body into a weapon more deadly than any blade or gun. Most importantly, they taught him to appear harmless. The transport's bay doors opened with a pneumatic hiss, and harsh alien sunlight flooded the cramped space. The prisoners were herded out single file, their restraints removed only to be replaced by neural compliance collars that would deliver incapacitating shocks if they tried to run. The processing facility was a monument to efficiency and intimidation. Prisoners were stripped, decontaminated, and subjected to medical examinations that mapped their anatomy for the entertainment of future crowds. Marcus submitted to it all without resistance, noting the facility's layout, guard rotations, and security measures with the trained eye of someone who had spent years infiltrating enemy installations. The medical technician examining him was a Vorthan, one of the pale, elongated humanoids known for their scientific aptitude. Her scanner chimed repeatedly as she ran it over his body, and she frowned at the readings. "Curious," she muttered, more to herself than to him. "Bone density is significantly higher than normal for your species. Muscle fiber composition suggests extensive physical conditioning. Cardiovascular efficiency is remarkable. And these scars." She traced one of the surgical scars on his torso with a gloved finger. "Surgical modification. Military?" "Former soldier," Marcus replied simply. She made notes on her datapad, unaware that she was documenting modifications that didn't appear in any medical textbook. The Shadow Division surgeons had been thorough in their work, enhancing bone density, optimizing muscle fiber for both strength and endurance, and installing subdermal monitors that could regulate his body's stress responses. "The arena master will be pleased," the technician said. Enhanced humans always provide better entertainment. After processing, the prisoners were led to the holding cells beneath the arena. The accommodations were Spartan but adequate: a simple cot, basic hygiene facilities, and a small viewing screen that displayed the arena's current matches. Marcus was assigned to a cell block with 5 other prisoners, including Vera and a massive Kroger warrior named Thunk, who had been sentenced for desertion. The Kroger was a hulking biped covered in chitinous plates and armed with natural weaponry in the form of razor-sharp claws. He'd been pacing his cell like a caged animal since their arrival, occasionally stopping to glare at Marcus through the transparent barriers. "The little human thinks he belongs here with warriors," Thunk growled, his translation collar rendering his speech in a menacing bass tone. "On my world, we would have eaten your kind for sport." Marcus looked up from where he sat on his cot, having been observing the arena matches on his screen. The current fight featured a team of Zelani rebels against a pack of mechanical hunting drones. The rebels were losing badly. "Your world doesn't exist anymore," Marcus said calmly. "The hegemony glassed it 3 years ago when your people tried to rebel." Thunk's claws scraped against the cell barrier, leaving deep gouges in the reinforced material. "You dare?" "I dare state facts," Marcus interrupted, his voice carrying the kind of quiet authority that had once commanded respect from hardened soldiers. "Your world is gone. Your people are scattered or dead. You're here because you abandoned your unit rather than die for a lost cause. That doesn't make you a coward, but it doesn't make you a warrior either." The silence that followed was tense, broken only by the distant roar of the arena crowds. Vera watched nervously from her cell while the other prisoners pretended not to listen. Finally, Thunk backed away from the barrier, his aggressive posture shifting to something more thoughtful. "You speak like one who has seen war," the Kroger said slowly. "I've seen enough," Marcus replied. Turning his attention back to the screen, the arena matches continued throughout the day, a parade of violence designed to entertain the masses. Marcus watched them all with analytical interest, noting the arena's layout, the types of challenges faced by combatants, and the apparent preferences of the crowd. The arena floor was a circle roughly 100 meters across, surrounded by tall walls topped with energy barriers. The floor itself could be reconfigured into various environments: jungle, Desert, urban ruins, or simple open space, most matches followed predictable patterns. Single combat, team battles, or survival challenges against various predators or automated systems. The crowd seemed to prefer close combat over ranged weapons, blood over strategy. It was a gladiatorial system designed to appeal to the lowest common denominator of galactic civilization. As evening approached, the holding cells were visited by a figure that commanded immediate attention. Arena Master Thixon was a member of the ruling Korthax caste, a reptilian humanoid The arena's preparation chambers buzzed with activity as dawn broke over. Korthax Prime, Marcus stood in the center of his assigned chamber, allowing the automated systems to coat his skin with protective gel designed to prevent immediate death from the Venturi's toxins. The gel would slow the poison, giving him perhaps minutes instead of seconds if he was bitten. Not much of an advantage, but Marcus had worked with less. Trainer Crix observed from behind a force field barrier, his battle-scarred features unreadable. The veteran gladiator had survived 47 arena matches before earning his freedom and choosing to stay as a trainer. In those 47 fights, he had never once seen an unarmed combatant survive against a pack hunter. "The Venturi has been starved for 3 days," Crix informed him through the chamber's communication system. "This increases its aggression but also makes it more prone to mistakes. It will likely attempt to end the fight quickly rather than toy with you." Marcus nodded, continuing his warm-up routine. To the casual observer, he appeared to be performing simple stretching exercises. In reality, each movement was designed to activate specific muscle groups and neural pathways, preparing his body for combat in ways that even advanced alien medical scanners couldn't detect. "Tell me about the terrain," Marcus said, rolling his shoulders to work out the last of the stiffness from sleeping on the arena's basic cots. Dense jungle simulation. High humidity, limited visibility, uneven ground. Multiple levels created by fallen logs and rocky outcroppings. The Venturi will use this to its advantage, attacking from above or behind cover. Escape routes. Crix's scarred face showed something that might have been amusement. "There are no escape routes, human. This is not a hunt where you can run until help arrives. The arena boundaries are absolute." "I wasn't planning to run," Marcus replied calmly. Above them, the crowd was already gathering. Marcus could hear the rumble of thousands of voices, the excitement building as various species placed bets on how long the human would survive. The current odds, according to the arena's betting pools, gave him less than 2 minutes before the Venturi would make its kill. The chamber's door cycled open with a soft chime, and Marcus stepped out into the arena's staging area. The jungle environment was already in place, a sophisticated holographic simulation, combined with real vegetation that created an almost perfect replica of Venturi's homeworld. The air was thick and humid, filled with the sounds of alien insects and the rustle of wind through synthetic leaves. Marcus took a moment to orient himself, his enhanced senses cataloging every detail of his surroundings. The arena floor was roughly circular, perhaps 100 meters across, surrounded by walls that stretched up 20 meters to the energy barriers that contained the action. The jungle canopy rose to within 5 meters of that barrier, creating a complex 3-dimensional battlefield. Scattered throughout the environment were the tools that other combatants had failed to use effectively: broken spears, damaged energy weapons, and the occasional piece of armor. The arena masters left them deliberately, knowing that most fighters would waste precious time trying to claim weapons they didn't know how to use properly. Marcus ignored them all. The crowd's noise reached a crescendo as Arena Master Thixon's voice echoed through the complex's communication system. "Citizens of the Empire, today we test the legend of the human Deathworlders. Watch as this specimen faces a creature that has killed 17 previous challengers. Will human cunning prove superior to Venturi savagery? The hunt begins now." A section of the arena wall slid open, and the Venturi emerged. Marcus had studied the creature during his pre-fight briefing, but seeing it in person was different. The pack hunter stood nearly 2 meters tall at the shoulder, its body a fusion of reptilian and feline features that spoke to millions of years of evolutionary refinement. 6 legs ended in retractable claws capable of punching through standard armor, while its elongated skull housed rows of teeth designed to inject paralytic venom. Most terrifying was its intelligence. Venturi were problem solvers, capable of adapting their tactics mid-hunt based on their prey's behavior. This one had clearly learned from its previous arena victories, as evidenced by the way it immediately began circling Marcus rather than charging directly. Marcus remained motionless in the center of a small clearing, his hands loose at his sides, his breathing deep and controlled. To the crowd, he appeared frozen by fear. In reality, he was gathering information, allowing his enhanced nervous system to process every detail of the creature's movement patterns. The Venturi completed its first circle, staying just inside the tree line where the shadows would mask its exact position. Marcus tracked it through sound and the subtle movement of vegetation, his head turning slightly to follow its progress. The crowd began to murmur, anticipating the moment when the human would panic and run. Instead, Marcus closed his eyes. This unexpected action caused a ripple of confusion through the arena. Even the Venturi paused, its predator instincts warning it that prey animals didn't behave this way. Something was wrong with this picture, but the creature's hunger overrode its caution. It struck from Marcus's left side, launching itself from the cover of a fallen log with claws extended and jaws agape. The attack was perfectly executed, designed to pin its prey while delivering a crippling bite to the neck. Marcus moved. What happened next would be analyzed in arena recordings for years to come. The human's eyes snapped open just as the Venturi committed to its attack. Instead of dodging backward or to the side as every other prey species would, Marcus stepped forward and slightly to his right, moving into the creature's attack vector in a way that put him under its extended claws. His left hand came up to catch the Venturi's lower jaw, fingers wedging between the creature's teeth to prevent them from closing. His right hand drove upward, fingers extended and reinforced by enhanced bone structure, striking the soft tissue beneath the creature's chin with surgical precision. The Venturi's forward momentum carried it past Marcus, but its attack had been completely neutralized. Instead of landing on top of its prey, it crashed heavily to the ground, stunned by the unexpected impact. To its brainstem, Marcus didn't give it time to recover. He was on the creature before it could regain its footing, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to match the alien predator's speed. His hands found the precise pressure points that Shadow Division training had taught him to locate on dozens of different alien anatomies. The Venturi's nervous system, for all its evolutionary advantages, still relied on the same basic principles as every other carbon-based life form. The creature thrashed wildly, its claws raking gouges in the arena floor as it tried to dislodge the small human that had somehow gained the upper hand. But Marcus's grip was unbreakable, his fingers applying pressure to nerve clusters that sent waves of disorientation through the Venturi's brain. The crowd had fallen silent, unable to comprehend what they were witnessing. This wasn't how these fights were supposed to go. Humans were supposed to die quickly, providing brief entertainment before the next match. They weren't supposed to systematically dismantle apex predators with their bare hands. Arena Master Thixon leaned forward in his observation booth, his scales shifting to a deep orange that indicated intense fascination. "Remarkable," he murmured to his assistants. "The human is fighting like it knows exactly how Venturi anatomy functions." That level of precision suggests extensive study of xenobiology. What Thixon didn't know was that Marcus's knowledge came from more than study. The Shadow Division had required its operatives to participate in live training exercises using captured alien specimens. Marcus had fought Venturi before, under controlled conditions designed to push human capabilities to their absolute limits. The pack hunter made one final attempt to break free, rolling its entire body in an effort to crush Marcus beneath its weight. Marcus anticipated the move, using the creature's momentum to redirect its energy while maintaining his grip. As they rolled, he shifted his position, wrapping his legs around the Venturi's neck in a hold. That would have been impossible without his enhanced flexibility. The creature's struggles grew weaker as Marcus applied pressure to its carotid arteries, cutting off blood flow to its brain. This was perhaps the most difficult part of the entire encounter, requiring him to maintain precise control despite the Venturi's thrashing. Too little pressure and the creature would recover. Too much and he would permanently damage it. Marcus had no desire to kill unnecessarily. The Venturi was simply doing what its nature demanded, hunting to survive. It deserved better than to die for the entertainment of crowds, who saw it as nothing more than a particularly dangerous prop, after what felt like an eternity, but was actually less than 30 seconds. The Venturi went limp. Marcus maintained his hold for another 10 seconds to ensure unconsciousness, then carefully released his grip and rolled away from the creature. The arena fell completely silent. Marcus stood slowly, his breathing elevated but controlled, his body showing only minor scratches from the encounter. The Venturi lay motionless but alive, its chest rising and falling with steady breaths. In 47 previous matches, no challenger had ever managed to defeat a pack hunter without killing it. Arena Master Thixon activated his personal communication channel. 3 days later, the arena buzzed with unprecedented energy. Word of the humans' victory over the Venturi had spread throughout the Korthax Empire's communication networks, drawing spectators from across the galaxy. The arena's capacity had been expanded to accommodate the massive crowds, with orbital viewing platforms positioned around the complex for those who couldn't secure physical seats. Marcus sat in his preparation chamber, observing the chaos through the facility's internal monitors. He had spent the intervening days in careful preparation, maintaining his physical conditioning while gathering intelligence about his upcoming opponents. Arena Master Thixon had remained secretive about the specific details, but rumors among the guards suggested something unprecedented. Dr. Zenth had visited him twice for additional medical examinations, her scientific curiosity driving her to understand the physiological basis for his performance. Each scan revealed nothing beyond slightly elevated baseline stats that could be attributed to exceptional physical conditioning. The Shadow Division's modifications were designed to be undetectable by standard medical equipment. Your cardiovascular efficiency has improved since your last fight, she noted, reviewing her datapad. Stress adaptation is proceeding at an unusual rate, even for your species. Humans are adaptable, Marcus replied, continuing his warm-up routine. Indeed, perhaps too adaptable for some people's comfort. Her comment carried an undertone that made Marcus pay closer attention. Meaning? Dr. Zenth glanced around the chamber, ensuring they weren't being monitored, then leaned closer to the communication pickup. There are those within the Empire who view your performance as problematic. Humans. We're supposed to be technologically dependent, weak without your machines. You're challenging fundamental assumptions about species hierarchy. Before Marcus could respond, the chamber door cycled open. Trainer Crix entered with an expression that mixed professional respect with deep concern. Time to move, Crix announced. The arena master has prepared something special for you. As they walked through the arena's corridors toward the staging area, Crix provided the briefing that Marcus had been waiting for. 5 opponents. All veterans of at least 10 matches each. Mixed species composition, 2 hegemony shock troopers, a Vorthek assassin, a Kroger berserker, and a Nethi scion. Marcus absorbed this information without reaction, though internally he was calculating the tactical implications. 5 opponents represented a significant escalation, especially with that particular species mix. Shock troopers were military-grade enhanced soldiers. The Vorthak were genetically engineered killers. Kroger berserkers were nearly unstoppable in close combat. And Nethi scions possessed telepathic abilities that could disorient or even control their opponents. Weapons? Marcus asked. Each opponent will be armed according to their species' traditional preferences. The shock troopers have energy rifles and combat armor. The Vorthak has stealth generators and monomolecular blades. The Kroger carries a plasma maul. The Nethys relies on psychic abilities but has a neural disruptor as backup. And I get? Nothing, Crix replied flatly. Arena Master Thixon wants to test whether your victory over the Venturi was skill or luck. They reached the staging area, where Marcus could see the arena floor through the reinforced viewing windows. The environment had been configured as an urban warfare simulation, complete with destroyed vehicles, collapsed buildings, and multiple levels of terrain. It was a battlefield designed to maximize the advantages of ranged weapons and coordinated tactics. "The crowd expects you to die," Crix continued, his tone carrying something that might have been regret. "This isn't entertainment anymore. This is a demonstration. They want to prove that humans are nothing special, that your previous victory was an anomaly." Marcus studied the arena layout, his enhanced memory cataloging every detail. Cover positions, sight lines, potential choke points, improvised weapon locations. His mind was already running tactical simulations, calculating probabilities and developing contingency plans. "How long do I have to achieve victory?" he asked. 15 minutes. If you survive that long without defeating all opponents, you're declared the winner. But surviving 15 minutes against that group— Crix shook his head. "Has it been done before?" "No unarmed combatant has ever faced more than 3 opponents and lived." Marcus nodded, continuing his observations. In the arena's VIP section, he could see Arena Master Thixon surrounded by what appeared to be higher-ranking Imperial officials. Their presence confirmed Dr. Zenth's warning. This wasn't just entertainment. It was a statement about humanity's place in the galactic hierarchy. The staging door opened, and Marcus stepped onto the arena floor. The crowd's roar was deafening, a mixture of bloodlust and anticipation that washed over him like a physical force. He walked calmly to the center of the arena, positioning himself near a collapsed speeder that would provide some initial cover around the arena's perimeter. 5 entrances opened simultaneously. The opponents emerged with professional coordination, immediately spreading out to establish a perimeter around Marcus's position. Their movement spoke of extensive combat experience and careful planning. The 2 hegemony shock troopers took elevated positions on opposite sides of the arena, their energy rifles trained on the center. The Vorthek activated its stealth field and disappeared into the shadows between destroyed structures. The Kroger Berserker began a slow advance, its plasma maul crackling with contained energy. The Nethi Scion positioned itself at maximum range, its large cranium already glowing with psychic emanations. Arena Master Thixon's voice echoed through the complex. "Let the demonstration begin." Marcus felt the first psychic probe immediately, a subtle pressure against his consciousness as the Nethys attempted to establish mental contact. Most species would have been overwhelmed by the alien telepathy, their thoughts scattered. And confused by the psychic intrusion, Marcus had been trained to resist much worse: the shadow. Division's psychological conditioning included extensive mental defense training, using techniques developed from humanity's small but dedicated community of natural telepaths. Marcus's mind was partitioned in ways that alien psychics couldn't understand. His thoughts protected behind barriers that appeared completely natural. Instead of resisting the psychic probe, he allowed it to connect while feeding it false information. To the Nethys, Marcus appeared paralyzed with terror, his human mind overwhelmed by the arena's hostile environment. The Scion's confidence was exactly what Marcus needed. He moved with explosive suddenness, rolling behind the speeder as energy bolts from the shock troopers scorched the ground where he'd been standing. The Kroger Berserker roared and charged, its heavy footsteps shaking the arena floor. The Vorthak remained invisible, but Marcus could track its movement through subtle environmental cues: disturbed dust patterns, displaced shadows, the faint shimmer of its stealth field. Marcus reached under the speeder's chassis and found what he'd observed during his initial survey: a piece of the vehicle's structural framework that had been weakened by battle damage. He wrenched it free, creating an improvised weapon roughly a meter long with sharp edges at both ends. The Kroger reached him first, its plasma maul crackling as it swung in a devastating overhead arc designed to reduce Marcus to component atoms. Marcus rolled to the side, using the speeder's bulk as a pivot point to redirect his momentum. As the maul struck the ground where he'd been, he came up inside the Berserker's reach, driving his improvised weapon toward the gap between its armor plates. Kroger armor was designed to stop energy weapons and projectiles. It was less effective against precisely targeted physical strikes delivered with enhanced human strength. The metal fragment punched through the gap at the creature's shoulder joint, severing motor nerves and causing its right arm to go limp. The berserker's roar of pain and fury echoed through the arena, but Marcus was already moving. He vaulted over the speeder, putting the vehicle between himself and the shock troopers while heading toward a section of collapsed wall that would provide better cover. Energy bolts tracked his movement, their near misses sending sprays of molten material across his path. The shock troopers were skilled marksmen, but they were trained to fight opponents who moved predictably. Marcus's enhanced reflexes and combat conditioning let him change direction at the last possible moment, making their targeting solutions obsolete before they could fire. He reached the wall section and immediately began climbing, using cracks and protrusions to ascend toward the second level. The Vorthak chose that moment to attack, its stealth field dropping as monomolecular blades extended from its forearms. The alien assassin was a horrifying sight. Its elongated limbs and razor-sharp natural weapons designed by millennia of genetic engineering for one purpose: efficient killing. Marcus caught the first blade between his palms, the monomolecular edge stopping just short of his enhanced bone structure. The second blade swept toward his midsection, but Marcus twisted his body, using his grip on the first blade to pivot around the Vorthak's attack. His knee came up in a strike that would have shattered human ribs, but merely cracked the alien's exoskeleton. It was enough. The Vorthak staggered backward, its breathing apparatus damaged by the impact. Marcus released his grip on its blade and grabbed a piece.